Oh, hey. Oh my god!
Resident Evil.
My god, what a joy it was to play through this game. Resident Evil Requiem has to be one of the best in the entire series, rivaling the originals, the remakes, and hell, for itself. This time around, Capcom absolutely nailed the dynamics of what makes the series great. Although, I feel like Capcom was already starting to do that with 7 Biohazard and RE2 remake. While I do feel like they stumbled a bit on Village and another remake they did I'm avoiding talking about so I don't scream until I vomit blood. I think Capcom has proven more times than not that they have what it takes to release banger after banger, like the RE4 remake. And of course, Requiem. Seriously, this game had me like... Okay, so if you've played anything from Capcom since Biohazard, you'll know that the RE engine, which, by the way, apparently stands for Reach for the Moon engine, can't blame anyone for thinking it was Resident Evil engine because, you know, R, E... Anyway, you'll know that the RE engine is pure black magic, and I mean seriously, the engineering that went into creating it had to be done by wizards, quite possibly from the moon. Fuck, it makes sense now! The optimization of everything it's been used in has been phenomenal, and has run as smooth as Leon's hair. Now, I'm running it on a Ryzen 5950X, a Gigabyte RTX 4090, and 64 gigs of RAM, so I wouldn't use my rig as the standard. But, I have run games with this engine on lower hardware and never had a dire problem. Now, I will say this game has a stuttering issue. Oh, that was so fucking stupid. Of course, like most of Capcom's recent releases, this also has Denuvo. Which I get why they would add it in. I mean, why not jeopardize the quality of the experience your game is offering to the player by making it periodically fucking stutter? Admittedly, it wasn't that bad considering my rig, but just a touch immersion breaking, and it's probably worse on other setups. Still, the photorealistic environments and the set pieces are amazing, and they make up for it. Like, just look at this. I mean, the way the blood behaves and splatters all over the wall can't help but make you think about how cool the tech is and if it smells like Teen Spirit. I mean, you gotta hand it to NVIDIA with that path tracing and DLSS, right? Come on now. Oh my god. The story felt very fresh from the introduction of Grace and her fit in the grand plot, but is also a love letter to Resident Evil 2 when taking the mantle of Leon, in addition to the reintroduction of the T-Virus, Oswald Spencer, the Umbrella Corporation, and revisiting the epicenter, Raccoon City. Set 30 years after the events of Raccoon City, the focus begins with Grace Ashcroft, the adopted daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft. I thought it was a rather interesting and odd choice to use a character from the lesser-known Resident Evil Outbreak games. But considering the catalog of characters the series has, I'm just happy they remembered one. Because there aren't any others that could work or relate to the main plot point being the progression of the T-Virus. No, it's just fucking Leon that existed in September 1998. Anyway, she gets killed in a flashback. Fucking brutally, by the way. And now Grace is traumatized and reclusive, so it only makes sense that her piece of shit boss makes her go to the hotel where her mom died to do field work, when she isn't a field agent, and without backup. Yeah, sure, why not? Are we sure Gideon is the fucking villain here? Anyway, she gets kidnapped by Gideon because he's been stalking the shit out of her, and Leon blocks traffic like an asshole. The first part of the story takes place in the Rhodes Hill Care Center and introduces the monster we all thought was a bigger deal before playing the game. Sure, she's used later on, but what would have been cooler if she missed her extra ass the entire time. Anyway, Leon shoots her in the face after saving Grace, and gets choked out somehow by Gideon. Meanwhile, Grace finds a blind girl in a glass cell, puts her in danger, develops an emotional connection to the kid, and saves her all in the time span of like 2 hours. Did she really need to save Emily? Did she? It was apparently her best friend that took her and even kept her in a warm cell away from the zombies. Yet here comes Grace, saving her and pulling her out of the cell and freeing every walking dead body to chase after them. So who's the tyrant here? Trick question, her fuck-ass boss! Jokes aside, I know nobody would have saved her because everyone is dead, and she would have died in the cell. I get it. I just feel bad for the poor blind girl not knowing what the fuck is going on and being terrified the whole time.
I'm tired.
Me too, kiddo. Me too. Meanwhile, Leon gets free, has shit aim, and John wicks his way through the care center to find Gideon, and eventually save Grace after she tries to escape with a helicopter pilot, which... his name... fucking escapes me. Whatever, I'll just call him Stick Shift. After they get away, Grace finally confronts the girl, as she's called, and melts her with sunlight, which is exactly me when I leave my dungeon. Emily turns into a Sour Patch Kid, Leon puts her down with a million shots, and Grace is suddenly feeling guilty.
I wanted to save her!
She then meets diet, zero-sugar, caffeine-free Wesker, who barely has any reason to be in this game, and doesn't make any goddamn sense for his involvement. I'm not a fan of this plot point. The Connections, who barely anybody knows, cloned Wesker, and now he's trying to find the last weapon developed by Oswald Spencer. They go to Raccoon City, which, by the way, is like right next to Renwood. What? I thought it was, like, remote. You're telling me a horrible viral outbreak happened just 15 minutes away from this fully populated city? It's weird, right? I don't know why it's weird, but it's weird. Back to Leon. Up to this point in the story, it's been made abundantly clear that he's dying from a mutated T-virus strain, as well as Sherry Birkin, which also doesn't make sense to me. Hasn't she been infected with the G-virus the whole time? Didn't her dad infect her with it in RE2 and she developed superpowers in RE6 because of it? Why is she dying now? Oh god, are we making RE6 not canon? Please, yes. Fuck that game. Leon goes back to where it all started, which was so damn cool to see. After fighting a big-ass spider, roaming Raccoon City, and blowing up the gate to the city center, leading to him doing some wild bike shit and chasing Gideon, he ends up at the RPD, which had a huge weight to the story at this point. It really sold the trauma that he, and only he, nobody else, experienced that September night in 1998.
Hey, Lieutenant Brenna. Kennedy. Reporting for duty.
After we experience the view of a child we don't know running away from some creepy-ass kids, Grace is made to believe she's a clone and calls Leon Mom. Then Mr. X drops in and gives it to you. After you parry the cards he throws at you, you fight an angry plant and end up in the Umbrella Arc facility. Side note, the scene where Leon remembers Kendo and his daughter was really hard-hitting, and it's a strong reminder why Leon does what he does. I thought it was a super impactful moment and absolutely needed for this point in the series as a whole. There's no joke here. I can have feelings too, you know, fuck you. In the Arc facility, Leon fights a bunch of the Hunk Elite unit, which was probably one of my favorite parts of this game. The boss fight with the commander was a reskinned Krauser fight, but I was all for it. And before anyone argues, yes, that is Mr. Death, the original 4th survivor. His glove literally comes off to see his T-virus infection, and his body disappears after you leave. At this point in the series, considering his reputation, he absolutely would be a commander of an elite unit. If you think otherwise, go ahead and comment below, and then delete it because you're wrong. Leon finds Grace with Zeno. Awful fucking name, oh my god. In this giant dome room, and Pirate jumps off the platform onto another platform and ends up in the garbage dump, where Leon collapses and faceplants into the possibly literal shit.
How long was that?
I don't know.
You have a watch! You have a fucking watch! It was literally advertised merch for the game! You didn't think to check it once?! Grace climbs out of the dump and avoids an ass ton of liquors, only to find a giant-ass white room with a massive screen, which we all know what Gideon used it for, and then finds out she's not a clone, but just a normal baby that Spencer hands off to Alyssa.
Here, you throw this away.
Spencer reveals Elpis is an antidote to this virus as a Requiem, and Grace is his hope for the future. She sees Leon dying in the dreaded piss hallway after he fought through more zombies and liquors while feeling a little icky. And then they both go back in the dome room where Zeno has just been hanging out and waiting for them to come back? Like, why the fuck did he just chill in this room? What made him think they would come back? Leon could have just left with Grace and Zeno would be sitting in that room doing fuck all, lights shut off and shit, and the game gives you the option to put the right or wrong password in. Alright, let's see. Password 1. Alright, fuck, real one. Grace jams the syringe into Leon and now he's cured. While Zeno takes it and becomes a limp dick little bitch. Oh fuck. Leon fights Gideon and it turns out he's a nemesis, because why not? Fuck it. Leon kills him like a badass with a Requiem while Jill needed a whole ass railgun, and then they're both stuck until Chris's Deus Ex Machina team shows up and saves both.
I wish we could have saved Emily.
Grace. I didn't hit any of her vitals.
And that's it. Leon puts on his wedding ring as he walks away. Grace is back to work talking to Leon on the phone, and her fuck-ass boss has the nerve to show his face. Seriously, fuck this piece of shit. So yeah, that's the story. I can't entirely complain about it. I know I shit on it, but I like the story. I just wish there was way more and some things just weren't done. For example, how necessary was Zeno? If the canon ending is that he dies, why even introduce him? Gideon I get, but Zeno is so pointless. Also, revisiting Raccoon City and not a single mention, not a fucking whisper of Claire or Ada. Like, not one. You would think, of all people, Sherry would say something, but no. Leon doesn't even allude to her or Ada for that matter. In fact, Claire's a fucking keychain. If he has this T-virus infection, so would they. Fucking Jill or Carlos would have it too. I think there could have been way more done with the story had any of those characters been a part of it. Had the opportunity for them to meet in-game. Yes, I know, Grace's section was meant to be the horror element in the game, but even if, for example, Jill wasn't entirely playable, I think she still could have served a good purpose for the story. It just feels like the whole revisiting Raccoon City thing was a bit wasted. As cool as it was. Now mind you, I'm recording this before any DLC, so who knows what might be next. But just the base story alone feels like it rushed in a few different ways. While it was cool to have the two different playstyles, I feel like had they just done one side with one character, it would have worked and had the room to fit more story in. Either a straight horror game with just Grace, or RE4 Part 2 with Leon kicking zombies in the face in Raccoon City, accompanied by at least one other character from the original trilogy. I just needed more. Also, Leon looks like Squeezy Jibs. Go ahead. Rub one out now. As Grace, you get the familiar survival horror experience of managing your resources and weighing your decisions that can make every next section its own difficult one to navigate. Of course, if you're a fan of the originals, this will feel right at home for you. The inclusion of ink ribbons, I think, was one of the better decisions in this entry. Having to decide when you save takes some critical examining of where you are in the game, especially on a first run where you don't know what's next. The blood crafting mechanic for me was a 50-50. While I think the idea of crafting bullets and other various items using the infected blood is neat, I feel like it strayed away a little from the original experience of finding ammo and items and feeling some relief when doing so, capturing this feeling of cautious confidence where you feel a little more prepared to enter the next area, but still unsure if it's enough. From what I see, there isn't much in terms of story relation to why this is even a thing. I mean, I get being able to use the blood to make ink ribbons since it can be used like ink, but I don't know what kind of blood alchemy Grace learned at the FBI that she can combine blood and metal to make usable bullets. Still, the fact that she can't tank too many hits made me cautious about who I engaged with and to what degree. I mean, a lot of the time I found it more useful to pop a zombie in the head, push them down, and either shoot the head or run. Zombies actually have personalities that's explained via the lore of the game, and it added a lot of character to playing her half. Every zombie was purposeful and felt unique with looks and behaviors that differentiated them from each other. For the most part, Grace's section was a blast to play through. On the flip side, as Leon, you get what made Resident Evil 4 so great, with Leon nearing his 50s as the grizzled bioweapon-slaying veteran that gives you intense moments like brutal, gory gameplay and combat with an arsenal of different weapons with their own upgrades. It really showcases how far Leon has come as a character when you control him again after he gets seduced by Gideon.
It should have been me, not him!
Every zombie you were dodging earlier as Grace is now just a target for Leon to fart on. I mean, it's pretty much the Rorschach scene from Watchmen.
You're locked in here with me!
Raccoon City is where it really picks up for Leon. Seeing the familiar streets of the area was nostalgic as fuck, although the giant spider boss was an odd choice for a first enemy, but a deep cut for series veterans. After that, Raccoon City kind of turns into an open hub area where you're doing the typical RE thing, finding keys or items to progress, killing enemies, rinse, repeat. The game then introduces a merchant-esque system where you interact with an item box that has Linux installed on it, and it gives you options to spend points that you earn from killing zombies, which is also a new mechanic that is introduced in this section. It felt a little weirdly late, and it's funny enough not one of my gripes with this section. And here is where I go off the deep end. From this point on, zombies are reintroduced in Raccoon City, which is cool, but it's so jarring to go from zombies with personalities to the same 3 or 4, maybe more, I stopped paying attention, zombie models showing up to kill you. They could have used some of the designs from the original 2 and 3 and make them way more tattered and aged, like, where's the red tank top zombie? Or more of the cop zombies. I mean, even Grace's Arc Lab section did this with the zombies, and yeah, I get they're supposed to be experiments, but no lab workers or scientists. Also, I'm pretty sure there were way more bioweapons in Raccoon City during the outbreak, like the fact that the Cerberus are only used in a bike chase is criminal. There could have been liquors scattered around instead of just in the Umbrella Arc Lab, or hell, even some worn-out aged hunters that have been feeding on these zombies for however many years. It would have really showed what Leon is capable of as a character, but no, we get this Mad Max armored zombie with a chainsaw that has no reason for being here. And don't even get me started on the BSAA zombies with guns. Okay, I will, it's stupid! I do like that there are callbacks to the originals, like the Stagla gas station branding, but there could have been more done. For example, one of my gripes with the RE2 remake is the path from the start of the game to the police station is short, while the original had you go through alleyways and alternate routes. When you get to the RPD after the bike chase, you end up where the tanker truck flipped and where RE2 starts. I think it would have been a neat thing to do to have some derelict cars that were blocking the path, and instead you had to go through a large chunk of the original pathway from the OG game. Wouldn't have to be exact, but since the original was broken up into sections, they would have had the ability to mishmash it into something familiar for longtime fans, maybe even include some areas from the OG RE3 since the remake fucking did it! The RPD was an awesome thing to experience, going into the STARS office, finding Chris's jacket, Joel's hat, Barry's notes for a scavenger hunt when he should have been working. But 2 zombies was disappointing after fighting 5,000 of them. The introduction of Mr. X was so damn awesome, but it lasted maybe 20 minutes if you include the boss fight. Why not introduce him earlier in the city? Make him your stalker enemy for that section. It would have been so awesome having to navigate the city and avoid him. You know, the way Nemesis did in the OG RE3, which the remake barely fucking did! I did mention the points as currency, which isn't a problem for me, but it was more so how you got the points. As Leon, you get these cool weapons and context-based kills where you parry and pull off a cool execution kill or kick their head into a wall. But your point reward isn't really worth doing any of it. Why? Why not incentivize me more to pull off these cool parries and cinematic kills, luring zombies over to pull it off and get a much higher point output? To me, it basically made these moves mostly for show. Still, despite all of this, I had one hell of a time playing this part, but I just wish there was more, and that seems to be the sentiment with this game. Especially when it's supposed to be directed to OG fans, and yeah, I get that newcomers wouldn't know what the OG stuff would be, but it still would have been an awesome experience. And if you haven't played the originals, what are you doing? They're available on modern hardware, so you have no fucking excuse. None. Zero. Man, the graphics are... Shut up. You sicken me. I'll find you and I'll fucking... Revisiting Raccoon City was an emotional ride and hit hardest for me. While I know a lot of the newer audience is familiar with the remakes, for me this hit home. I have been a diehard fan of this series since I was 10 years old, playing the original Resident Evil 2 on the N64. Leon going back to where it all began for him as the rookie cop ending up in a horrific situation had a direct effect on me because at one point, I was also a rookie to this franchise with OG2 being my first. Leon was my introduction to the series and honestly, it felt like I myself was revisiting where it all started. The nostalgia was firing neurons in my brain, but it was bittersweet. Seeing the empty, desolate, windswept city also made me realize how much of my own life has gone by. It's been 23 years since I first played the OG2. 23 years ago, my brain established a landmark in this fictional city and series, and 23 years later, I go back. This was an unforgettable experience of a game with it hitting me so deep. This reminds me how beautiful this medium is. Video games have a very strong ability to elicit emotions from you, and when you've been playing as long as I have, so much of it defines you and what you love. Now, if you enjoyed watching this, consider dropping a like, and subscribing too. Thank you for watching this. Thank you to the world for this medium, and of course, thank you Capcom for giving me something that I've held dear my entire life so far. Also, actually, fuck this dude!